the old adage about the Iowan who says, I don't know if I'm going to vote for that person. He's only been in my house twice.
Right.
That kind of thing. I mean, you've got to get out and get in front of people. I think that's one of the reasons that Barack Obama defeated Hillary Clinton the last time. He just did more retail politics.
What's your advice to her this time? Has she asked for it?
Retail politics. She's wonderful. I mean, Hillary's a wonderful person, and she's got a great persona about it. And she just, I think once she gets out and just starts being herself, right. I think she'll be fine.
Why didn't that happen in 07? Do you wonder?
Well,
do you think too many people were
handlers? Handlers. Oh, you got this. You don't have to worry about that. And I think sometimes your handlers can make you into somebody you're not.
That was NBC's Chuck Todd talking with Senator Tom Harkin about Hillary Clinton's history with Iowa politics. Still here is NBC News correspondent Harry Smith, and joining us at the table is MSNBC political analyst Karen Finney, also Christina Bellantoni, editor-in-chief for Roll Call, and Matt Morrison, political director for Working America, a group that focuses on engaging working-class voters. So, Karen, to paraphrase now President Obama, is Hillary likable enough for Iowa?
She is likable enough. I was at the DNC during the last presidential cycle, the 2008 cycle, and I think there's a couple of things that happened. Number one, President Obama's team went in with a strategy. They were very meticulous about the Iowa caucuses. They didn't take anything for granted because remember, he knew that if he, as an African American, could win Iowa, that would set him on a path that would be, unstoppable almost, right? And I think with Hillary's team, remember their whole message was, I'm in it to win it. Mm-hmm. And I think what people, particularly in Iowa, needed to see is, I'm here to do the hard work, which is how she ran her Senate campaign, which I worked with her on, where it was
every county in the state.
All 62 counties, I can tell you. Yeah. But also, we put extra time on her schedule so that she could stay for like an hour afterwards and just shake hands and talk to people. And so I think part of it is Obama, to his credit, his team kind of came out of nowhere because nobody saw really, they were pretty much under the radar in terms of how effectively they were organizing. And I do think that the Hillary campaign made some assumptions that, like you were talking about earlier, people already kind of know her. They're going to like her. There's the Bill Clinton effect. And they didn't anticipate the need to.
And the Obama campaign was also 100 miles ahead of everybody in social media.
I'm also wondering, Christina, if this is also just part of the front runner problem in general, right? So that in the end, had Senator Obama, a freshman senator, African American, gone there and lost, he would have lost nothing, right? So he could literally leave it all on the court, right? Because the expectations were low enough that overperforming was almost the only thing that could happen. Whereas for Hillary Clinton, losing could mean everything, and it did.
That's all true, but there's also a human element here. The Obama campaign staff that worked that campaign, and I was out there in Iowa and talked to them from the very beginning in 2007. They were true believers. They wanted this man to be president. They weren't trying to topple the big gorilla of Hillary Clinton. And a lot of the staffers that worked for her, great, hardworking people, but a lot of them went to work for her because they wanted to go work for the next president. That is what they were thinking of, whereas the Obama people believed in him, and that authenticity came across at every single level. Interaction with the press, interaction with voters, interaction with the candidate, and what they allowed them to do.
So part of why I wanted you to the table is it was fascinating to me when my producers first presented me with the bio of the work you do, which is in part, he studies working class white voters. And I was like, wait a minute, are you allowed to say that? But that idea that those voters are so key, whatever their purpleness, right? But still that notion of authenticity, sort of Iowa capacity, all of that. So what do you see in these potential candidates that will resonate with these voters?
Absolutely. I would certainly say that if you look back at 2008, that's something of a once-in-a-lifetime phenomena. But it also tells you a lot about the value of retail politics when you get face-to-face, you door-to-door, you talk to people in their living rooms. I think that what we're hearing from Harry, what we're hearing from Karen, what we've heard from Christina is all about saying, hey, if you go out and you talk to a voter, whether you're talking to Iowans in Des Moines right now, we're talking to 1,000 of them a week in Des Moines, and we're hearing pretty clearly what they want to know about is the economy. And it's those issues that are driving their vote choice.
Is it possible to talk to a candidate and then like them less after having engaged with them? No, I'm serious. Is it possible that there are some candidates who actually do better in front of the big crowd, but once they come to your living room, you're like, no, actually, I don't want to vote for you?
That's possible, but you made a really good point that one-on-one. Edwards, what people don't remember was Edwards closed so strong for the 4 years before that he had a residual power. That's why he ends up, Obama comes in first, Edwards comes in second. Hillary comes in third. So that was all that living room work that he had done the 4 years before, regardless of the cloud of controversy that was about to engulf.
Right, I know. I mean, he's a punchline now, but he definitely was not at that moment, right? He had just been the vice presidential candidate.
But also Iowa and New Hampshire, the first two, contests. That is the expectation. The expectation in Iowa is you will come and you will sit in my living room, and it may be 10 people, it may be 5 people, and you will make time to do that. I mean, look, other states.
Who are these Iowans? So let me pause for a second.
And it's like,
who are these Iowans?
If you don't do it, you are in trouble.
But why do they deserve? No, but I mean, that's fine. But I mean, I really do want to ask this because, like, having lived for most of my life in safe states, either safe blue or safe red states, really, we don't expect any. We're just happy if you run a commercial in a safe state.
Absolutely.
Who are they to expect such attention and petting?
Some of it is just built from tradition, but you know what? They take their responsibility very seriously, and the parties did a really, a big effort to try to include Nevada, to try to include South Carolina, and get them more involved, and they didn't demand as much of those candidates, particularly in Nevada, I would say. From what I witnessed in 2008, the questions that Iowa voters asked, the attendance, much higher. New Hampshire, the exact same thing. They earned this responsibility. They don't look like America, and that's a problem. I think if there were a state that was more diverse,
because it's been the tradition for so long, which was the argument why we wanted to add more states.
And people are born into it.
Give them more than 2 years to get their act
They're
together.
raised with their families taking them to the caucuses and this understanding that they have this privilege. So there are ways to restructure that, but the other states have to step up and say, I'm going to attend 7 town hall meetings this month, which a lot of people aren't willing to do in other states.
Stick with us, because still to come this morning, I am checking a box on my Black feminist bucket list. Ntasuke Shange is coming to Nerdland live for an interview that you are not going to want to miss, all you colored girls out there. But up next, the answer to the question, why could a free-range chicken determine control of the U.S. Senate? I promise there's an actual answer to that question.